You know what I haven't done in a hot minute? A drink along. There may actually be a good reason for that, now that I think about it. However, I had been thinking of doing another, albeit a little more careful and structured than before, but I was kind of at a loss as to what would work. The last two games I tried have been terrible point-and-click adventure games, but now as we've seen, drunk or sober, I kind of suck ass at those games anyway. Now, janky first-person shooters, I'd like to think I'm pretty decent at those. Not to mention that alcohol and extreme violence often go hand in hand. The question is, what game could I play that would fulfill the ideal criteria of being entertainingly bad, simple enough to play while drunk, and predictable enough to base a drinking game on? There is, of course, only one clear option. As you may recall, early last year, I dabbled in streaming a particular game from a long-standing provider of quality jank to this channel, Orion Games. Sorry, I mean... called the Stalin Subway. It was, without a doubt, an absolute fucking madhouse of convoluted plot twists, terrible voice acting and gameplay that managed to somehow be both fun and absolutely fucking awful at the same time. I left that game feeling like someone had just performed a frontal lobotomy on me with a hammer and sickle. So, naturally, they made a sequel, the Stalin Subway 2, Red Veil. Set in the aftermath of Stalin's sudden demise, the Soviet Union is thrown into disarray. Powerful factions vie for control of one of the most powerful nations in the world. Hang on, I watched The Death of Stalin, where's Steve Buscemi? Ah, fuck it, it's a good enough excuse to get some nonsensical bloodshed going and have some good old-fashioned Soviet blasting fun. Now, I've played a lot of Orion Games' output over the years. The Hunt, or track, was actually a pretty great riff on the formula of Condemned, and for all that Dust 12 disappointed in mechanics, I couldn't fault the attempt. I've even got their very first title, Hell Forces, lined up for a playthrough at a later date. Nonetheless, the Stalin Subway always stood out as a shining example of something so captivatingly weird and dumb that I could not try out the second bite at the metaphorical cyanide capsule. So, what are the common features of Orion's body of work? More to the point, what are the common features that I'm expecting to run into along the way? The original Stalin Subway set the bar pretty high as far as insane storytelling goes, but where do I think it could go from there? Well, let's start with the basics, the stuff that's probably going to come up a lot. We will be taking a pull of beer whenever someone says Stalin, which is undoubtedly going to come up quite a lot. We get a sweet dose of that dank Soviet propaganda. We kill an officer, who are recognisable by their sweet caps. We blow some shit up, or witness some shit blowing up in grand fashion. And we'll also be abiding by what I like to think of as the rule of what. Anything just weird, dumb, janky, or crazy enough to get a what out of me, that just gets a drink by default. As for the hard stuff, I will be doing a shot, most likely a vodka, whenever a named character dies, anytime I die, limiting that to one per encounter, or I'm actually going to die, every time we start a level underground, in the metro, subway, whatever they want to call it, whenever we clear a big set-piece section, such as a boss fight or a vehicle section, and the old standby whenever the game crashes, because I'm pretty certain that's going to happen at some point. I didn't want this preamble to run on for too long, so let's just leave this here. Hopefully I'll survive this. Hell, I might even enjoy it. After all, isn't that what alcohol's for? Das Vidania, comrades. I will see you there.
Should we investigate?
Should you shut the fuck up before you get us both killed?